Well, those who watch Eyewitness News regularly know that we are committed to keeping local government spending as transparent as possible.
With this in mind, investigative reporter Kyle Harvey undertook a big project, obtaining the Kern High School District's credit card statements from last year to make sure they spent school money on school needs. Kyle, what did you find?
Well, Courtney, there are 48 active credit cards the district has issued to its employees. These are the statements I obtained through public records requests and spent the last couple of weeks combing through. Now, after finding several items that we thought taxpayers would take issue with, we asked the district to explain itself.
Nearly $2,400 for zip lines in Yosemite, $330 to a company called Beachbody Fitness, and $425 to Dark Horse Comics. These are just a few things purchased by principals and administrators that we wanted to know more about after studying the district's credit card statements from last year. We submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to Scott Cole, the Associate Superintendent over the Business Division of the school district, a position he's been in for 4 years. Cole provided them to us for a small fee to cover the printing cost and prepared them within the 20-day period mandated by law. After spending time combing through the lengthy list of charges, we returned to Mr. Cole's office with some questions. First of all, what about that zipline trip in Yosemite?
As an example of where kids went on a field trip, a school-related field trip, principal used the credit card to pay for that, but then it was reimbursed by the ASB fund.
There was a $330 charge for a company called Beachbody Fitness. This seems a bit odd.
So it was basically for a set of DVDs that went out to Ridgeview High School, went to the PE department, and the PE department uses them for their PE classes. Some intense body workout type DVDs for the kids as part of their curricular program.
The specific DVDs were P90X, Hip Hop Abs, and T25. This is in addition to a $1,000 that was spent to have a PE teacher certified to teach CrossFit. And what about that $425 at a comic book store?
So, but it very does sound kind of disturbing, Dark Horse Comics, but it's for supplemental reading material for an English class.
Okay. One by one, Cole provided explanation for almost all of our questions. This $260 charge, however, for a reservation at Lake Tahoe didn't seem right, and it wasn't.
An administrator or principal was out on a personal trip on their own time, pulled out the wrong credit card, reserved a lodging or something, a hotel room out there. When they got back, they discovered it was a personal purchase and not a district purchase, so they reimbursed the district by giving them a check for that purchase price.
But a look at the check that reimbursed the district showed that the employee only reimbursed it after we made the request to see the credit card statements, nearly 6 months after the trip to Tahoe.
Based on the check that I saw, it was months later.
You're probably correct in that case. I think
it already started.
Right. And usually speaking, people will, if that occurs, people will reimburse the day after or shortly after returning from the trip. In this case, I think it was an oversight by the administrator, brought to that administrator's attention, and the administrator immediately kind of gave us a check for that.
Next, we turned our attention to travel. Just about half of the $741,000 charged last year was spent on lodging. In fact, the district spent an average of nearly $1,000 a day on hotels in 2014. These hotels were in large destination cities across the country, from San Francisco and Las Vegas in the west to New York, Nashville, and Atlanta in the east.
Where's everyone going?
So a lot of those charges for overnight stays, either a tournament or some kind of performance. The other half usually are for staff-related professional development opportunities.
In fairness, some of the professional development trips are required by the state, which provides some funds earmarked specifically for those expenses. But speaking of where people are going, Sacramento was visited an awful lot. There was at least one person from the Kern High School District in Sacramento 93 days of the year. That's 1 in every 4 days.
Our superintendent is required to be in Sacramento. As you know, Sacramento is the state capital, and he goes up there frequently. He goes up there beyond many a board and council. He does a lot of the work that he does occurs in Sacramento.
Cole went on to add that the superintendent does not account for all 93 days in Sacramento. He promised additional info about who else spends time there in a later interview. One other thing that caught our attention: the hotels school representatives stay in are not cheap. Brands like Sheraton Grand, Hyatt Regency, Hilton, Westin, and Doubletree, many of which carry steep nightly rates in big cities. On multiple occasions, someone from the district stayed at the historic Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. After watching a brief promo for the hotel, we asked,
is there any rules or guidelines that govern where either employees or the students stay when they travel?
Well, there is no specific dollar amount tied to that because, as you can imagine, it'll vary city by city.
Hotels like the Fairmont San Francisco, he said, are cheaper for the district than they may appear.
You see some of those like high-priced hotels, we're getting substantial discounts because usually there'll be conferences or some kind of tournament going on. They'll offer us their government rate, so you'll see a hotel that typically would maybe $300 a night, and we'll get it for less than $150 a night.
But looking at this bill with charge after charge, over $1,600 for unknown stays at the Fairmont, we decided we'd like to see more itemized receipts. We've asked for them, and slowly but surely, these documents are arriving at Eyewitness News.
So as you just heard, we have more documents on the way from the district, and we will have a follow-up story for you just as soon as we've had a chance to comb through all of those. Also noteworthy, we asked the Delano Joint Union High School District for the same set of documents. They've been much slower to produce them, but I've just been informed at 5 o'clock that they're ready for us to pick up tomorrow morning. Reporting now live in the studio, Kyle Harvey, Eyewitness News.